It's me. It's Miss Checka. It is boiling hot outside. So I hope that wherever you are cool and with a cool glass of water. We have Lewis Sacker's Holes. And today we are on chapter 49. We are almost to part 3, which is the last part. So that's exciting, huh? Oh, we're going to find out what is in that suitcase. So let's get to it.
Next week.
Oh, hang on a second. I have something up on my computer. Okay. And also I just lost. There we are. There you are. Okay. So chapter 49, and we are on page 223. There never used to be yellow spotted lizards in the town of Green Lake. They didn't come to the area until after the lake dried up. But the townsfolk had heard about the red-eyed monsters living in the desert hills. One afternoon, Sam, the onion man, okay, so that means that we're in a flashback. We're like 100 years ago now. And his donkey, Mary Lou, were returning his boat, which was anchored just a little offshore. It was late in November, and the peach trees had lost most of their leaves. Sam, someone called. He turned around to see 3 men running after him, waving their hats. He waited. Afternoon, Walter, Bo, Jesse. He greeted them as they walked up, catching their breaths. Glad we caught you, said Bo. We're going rattlesnake hunting in the morning. We want to get some of your lizard juice, said Walter. I ain't scared of no rattlesnakes, said Jesse, but I don't want to come across one of those red-eyed monsters. I seen one once, and that was enough. I knew about the red eyes, of course. I hadn't heard about the big black teeth. It's the white tongue that got me, said Bo. Sam gave each man 2 bottles of pure onion juice. Oh, I see. Tess. Hi, Tess. He told them to drink 1 bottle before going to bed that night, then then a half bottle in the morning, then a half bottle around lunchtime. You sure this stuff works? Asked Walter. I tell you what, said Sam. If it doesn't, you can come back next week and I'll give you your money back. Walter looked around unsure as Bo and Jesse laughed. Then Sam laughed too. Even Mary Lou let out a rare hee-haw. Just remember, Sam told the men before they left, it's very important you drink a bottle tonight. You got to get it into your bloodstream. The lizards don't like onion blood. All right, so now skipping into the present. So why do you think we had that flashback right there about Sam, the onion man? Because what did we just learn? We just learned that the lizards don't like onions. So, maybe that explains why Stanley and Zero have had these venomous lizards all over them, but they haven't been getting bitten because what have they been eating all this time, right? Stanley and Zero sat in the back seat of Miss Morango's BMW. The suitcase lay between them. It was locked, and they decided they'd let Stanley's father try to open it in his workshop. Oh man, I would never have the patience. I would want to know what's in it right away. You don't know what's in it, do you? She asked. No, said Stanley. I didn't think so. The air conditioning was on, but they drove with the windows open as well because, no offense, but you boys really smell bad. Sorry. Miss Morango explained that she was a patent attorney. I'm helping your father with a new product he's invented. He happened to mention your situation, so I did a little investigating. Clyde Livingston's sneakers were stolen sometime before 3:15. I found a young man, Derek Dunn, who said that at 3:20, you were in the bathroom fishing your notebook out of the toilet. 2 girls remembered seeing you coming out of the boys' restroom carrying a wet notebook. Stanley felt his ears redden. Even after everything he'd been through, the memory still seemed to cause him to feel shame. So, that's the thing about getting bullied. The people who should feel ashamed are the ones doing the bullying, right? Like Derek Dunn. Is it Derek? Yeah. But sometimes the person who feels ashamed is the person who got bullied, which is, not fair at all. So you couldn't have stolen them, said Miss Monango. He didn't. I did, said Zero. You did what? Said Miss Monango. I stole the sneakers. The lawyer actually turned around while driving and looked at him. I didn't hear that, she said, and I advise you to make sure I never hear it again. What did my father invent? Stanley said. Did he find a way to recycle sneakers? No, he's still working on that, explained Miss Monango. But he invented a product that eliminates foot odor. Here, I've got a sample in my briefcase. I wish I had more. You two should bathe in it. She opened her briefcase with one hand and passed a small bottle back to Stanley. It had a fresh and somewhat spicy smell. He handed it to Zero. What's it called? Stanley asked. We haven't come up with a name yet, said Miss Monango. It smells familiar, said Zero. Peaches, right? Said Miss Monango. That's what everyone says. I also want to pause for a little second. I can't remember if we talked about patents before, but Ms. Monango said that she's a patent lawyer. And I think earlier in the book, it talked about Stanley's dad wanting a patent. So if you invent something, or if you take an invention that already exists and you improve it so that it works better, and you, let's say that like I have what do I have here? Okay, here's like a thing that I have on my desk. I don't even know what this is called, but this has like little clippies on it and it has a magnifying glass on it. And I use it when I'm doing projects and I need to see something like really, really, really tiny, like if I'm painting something real tiny. So let's call this a flugel. I just made up that name. So if I invent a flugel and I sell it to you for like $10, then I get the $10, right? But maybe you come over to my house and you're like, oh, wow, Miss Cheka has this like really cool flugel and it has like this thing, it has this thing, it has this thing. And like you go make one and then you sell it. You get that $10, even though I made it, I invented it and you copied my design. So that's not very fun for me who did all the work, right? But if I file a patent with it with the US government, and I say like, this is what a flugel is. And I give a diagram and I'm like, it has two little clippies. It has magnifying glass. It has like a heavy base. This is what a flugel is. Then they will say like, okay, that is invention number 1,010.7 belongs to Ms. Cheka. And anytime somebody makes something that is like this, they have to give a little bit of that money to me because I invented it. So that is what a patent is. And a patent lawyer is somebody who can like help you do all of that paperwork and then protect the invention that you made so that somebody else is not profiting off of it. Okay. Okay. A short while later, both boys fell asleep. Behind them, the sky had turned dark, and for the first time in over 100 years, a drop of rain fell into the empty lake. Okay, that is the end of part 2. So we are now on part 3. Filling in the holes. Chapter 50. This is page 229. Stanley's mother insists that there was never a curse. She even doubts whether Stanley's great-great-grandfather really stole a pig. The reader might find it interesting, however, that Stanley's father invented his cure for foot odor the day after the great-great-grandson of Elia Yelnats carried the great-great-grandson of Madame Zeroni up the mountain. Boo! They broke the curse. Woo! The Attorney General closed Camp Green Lake. Ms. Walker, so that's the warden, who was in desperate need of money, had to sell the land which had been in her family for generations. It was bought by a national organization dedicated to the well-being of young girls. In a few years, Camp Green Lake will become a Girl Scout camp. So remember how they had that insult of like, this isn't a Girl Scout camp. Now it's a Girl Scout camp. That's what you get for being insulting to girls. That is pretty much the end of the story. The reader probably still has some questions, but unfortunately, from here on in, the answers tend to be long and tedious. While Mrs. Bell, Stanley's former math teacher, might want to know the percent change in Stanley's weight, the reader probably cares more about the change in Stanley's character and self-confidence. But those changes are subtle and hard to measure. There is no simple answer. Even the contents of the suitcase turned out to be somewhat tedious. Stanley's father pried it open in his workshop, and at first everyone gasped at the sparkling jewels. Stanley thought he and Hector had become millionaires, but the jewels were of poor quality, worth no more than $20,000. Underneath the jewels were a stack of paper that had once belonged to the first Stanley Yelnats. These consisted of stock certificates, deeds of trust, and promissory notes. They were hard to read and even more difficult to understand. Miss Morengo's law firm spent more than 2 months going through all of the papers. They turned out to be a lot more valuable than the jewels. After legal fees and taxes, Stanley and Zero each received less than $1 million, but not a lot less. It was enough for Stanley to buy his family a new house with a laboratory in the basement and for Hector to hire a team of private investigators. But it would be boring to go through all the tedious details of all the changes in their lives. Instead, the reader will be presented with one last scene, which took place almost a year and a half after Stanley and Hector left Camp Green Lake. You will have to fill in the holes yourself. There was a small party at the Yelnats' house. Except for Stanley and Hector, everyone there was an adult. All kinds of snacks and drinks were set out on the counter, including caviar, champagne, and the fixings to make an ice cream sundae, or to make ice cream sundaes. The Super Bowl was on television, but nobody was really watching. It should be coming on at the next break, Ms. Morengo announced. A timeout was called in the football game, and a commercial came on the screen. Everyone stopped talking and watched. The commercial showed a baseball game. Amid a cloud of dust, Clyde Livingston slid into home plate as the catcher caught the ball and tried to tag him out. "Safe!" shouted the umpire as he signaled with his arms. The people at Stanley's house cheered as if the run really counted. Clyde Livingston got up, dusted the dirt off his uniform. As he made his way back to the dugout, he spoke to the camera. "Hi, I'm Clyde Livingston, but everyone around here calls me Sweet Feet." "Way to go, Sweet Feet," said another baseball player, slapping his hand. Beside him on the television screen, Clyde Livingston was also sitting on the couch next to Stanley. "But my feet weren't always sweet," the television Clyde Livingston said as he sat down on the dugout bench. "They used to smell so bad that nobody would sit near me in the dugout." "They really did stink," said the woman sitting on the couch on the other side of Clyde. She held her nose with one hand and fanned the air with the other. Clyde shushed her. "Then a teammate told me about sploosh," said the television Clyde. He pulled out a can of sploosh from under the dugout bench and held it up for everyone to see. "I just spray on a little on each foot every morning, and now I really do have sweet feet. Plus, I like the tingle." "Sploosh," said a voice, "a treat for your feet. Made from all natural ingredients, it neutralizes odor-causing fungi and bacteria. Plus, you'll like the tingle." Everyone at the party clapped their hands. "He wasn't lying," said the woman who sat next to Clyde. "I couldn't even be in the same room with his socks." All the other people at the party laughed. The woman continued, "I'm not joking. It was so bad." "You've made your point," said Clyde, covering her mouth with his hand. He looked back at Stanley. "Will you do me a favor, Stanley?" Stanley raised and lowered his left shoulder. "I'm going to get more caviar," said Clyde. "Keep your hand over my wife's mouth." He patted Stanley on the shoulder as he rose from the couch. Stanley looked uncertainly at his hand and then at Clyde Livingston's wife. She winked at him. He felt himself blush and turned away toward Hector, who was sitting on the floor in front of an overstuffed chair. A woman sitting in the chair behind Hector was absent-mindedly fluffing his hair with her fingers. She wasn't very old, but her skin had a weathered look to it, almost like leather. Her eyes seemed weary, as if she'd seen too many things in her life that she didn't want to see. And when she smiled, her mouth seemed too big for her face. Very softly, she half sang, half hummed a song that her grandmother used to sing to her when she was a little girl. If only, the moon speaks no reply, reflecting the sun and all that's gone by. Be strong, my weary wolf. Turn around boldly. Fly high, my baby angel, my only. The end. Yay! So Stanley and Zero get $1 million. Zero gets reunited with his mom. Clyde Livingston endorses their invention and they become friends. Yay! I really liked that book. I hope you guys enjoyed that book too. So that is the end, guys, of Holes. So what I think that we should do, I think that tomorrow maybe we can go out to the garden again and I can show you what's going on there because it's crazy. It's crazy. And then on Monday, we can start a new book. And I am open to suggestions if you want to suggest some to me. But I have been thinking about A Wrinkle in Time. That's one that I've been thinking of. And I see here, Christian Alexander has now officially read 60 books since January. Woohoo! Way to go, Christian Alexander. That's super fun. Oh, Tess, I'm glad that you liked that book. I really enjoyed reading this with you guys, like a lot. So we could do A Wrinkle in Time. I also was thinking, hold on a second. Oh, I thought I had it right behind me, but I had another book that I was thinking about. How about on Monday, I just show you guys a whole bunch of different books and you can kind of look at them and vote. So, all right, guys, have a very, very good day. Eat your fruits and vegetables. Be good, be nice, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.